Okay, good to see you all. I think we are recording now. Yes, so good morning again. My name is Aurelia Monene, founder of ADA Africa, the space that we are in today. And this is our monthly webinar. We have been doing this since January, but we've been around for over 6 years. And today we have a very important topic, which will be delivered by Dr. Kemi Mota. And this is about developing your research objectives. Last month, we looked at developing your problem statement. We are trying the research journey so that as people are developing different parts of their research, they can also go on developing as we deliver these webinars. And we ask you to participate actively. We look forward to having lots of questions, sharing your experiences, and you can put on chat. Please remain mute if you're not speaking so that we can hear our presenter and answer questions. For us, this is it's a space where we say we are all learning. There is no professor, there is no student. We are coming together, so don't shy off and feel free to answer or respond to any question. So over to you, Daktari. Please introduce yourself and take us through.
Thank you, Aurelia. Good morning, everyone. This is a great opportunity to meet with colleagues, friends, postgraduate students, researchers. I am Dr. Olukemi Asemota. I have a PhD in Human Resource Management, a master's degree in Industrial/Organizational Psychology, a master's degree in Public Health, and a bachelor's degree in Psychology. I'm a chartered human resource specialist and trainer with the South African Board of Personnel Practice and Chartered Institute of Personnel Management in Nigeria. I'm a scholar, an educator, and organizational management and development expert. My work experience spans over 3 decades from West Africa, Southern Africa, Central and Eastern Africa. I have authored a book on HIV and AIDS management in the uniformed forces in Namibia, published many scholarly journal articles and conference papers in human resource management, entrepreneurship, public health, education, and lifelong learning, gender and development studies. I have worked as senior lecturer and acted as vice rector, academics, and research in private university. My community service includes mentoring children at orphanage homes, teaching Sunday school, preaching and pastoral duties, preparing students for job placement, teaching and interpreting to the hearing impaired folks. I would like to stop there. Thank you. I'm through with my introduction.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Kemi. I think now we can start. You can pull up your presentation. You're ready. So you can go ahead and share us as Dr. Kemi is putting up her presentation. Prepare your questions.
Have I been given the opportunity to share my screen?
Yes, you're a co-host. You can share.
Okay.
Dr. Kemi, you have the rights. You have the rights. You can share your screen.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not getting this now. This site will be able to see the color. I'm not sure. Okay. I'm not getting it. Okay.
It's not accepted.
And somebody, can you upload it for me from there? I'm not getting from here. Let me get another laptop if that can do.
Okay.
Let me get
no, don't bother. Let me project for you.
I'm sorry, let me quickly get another laptop. I'm sorry for the delay.
I can, Dr. Kemi, you shared with me your slide. Can I share for you?
I've already sent my slide earlier to you.
Do you want me to share for you?
Okay.
Let me project for you.
It's okay.
Maybe you can be introducing your topic as I put up your slides. You can just
It's okay. Let me share for you. I've joined using another laptop. Please, let me exit from here.
Okay, as we wait for Dr. Kemi, please be sharing your questions, introducing yourself. I can see we have someone from Malawi, a PhD in rural development. That is good. Education psychology from Uganda, from Somalia as well. Often this space, Daystar University.
Aurelia, I'm sorry. Can they make me the co-host with this new laptop? I'm not linked the co-host. I'm sorry.
Which name are you using, Kemi, for the new laptop?
I'm using Olukemi Asemota. Okay, now I can see that I've been made a co-host.
Yes.
Olukemi Asemota.
Okay, go ahead. Let's see.
Okay. No. Okay, yeah. Can you see my screen, please? Hello?
Yes, we can see it. Make it slideshow.
Okay, let me remove that. Okay, fine. I have to reduce this. Okay, fine. Oh, I don't know what that one is blocking me from the other side. Okay, let me extend it.
Click on slide share.
Okay.
Then it will say from the beginning.
Okay, it's better. Can you see the old screen?
Okay, perfect. I think that's okay. Yes, that's okay. Yes.
Okay. Good morning again, colleagues, friends, researchers, and postgraduate students. It's a great opportunity to be with you this morning, and I want to appreciate Aurelia, the founder of IDA Africa, who has called for this to be shared this morning with all of us. I've been asked to speak on developing research objectives, and in essence, it is creating clear and researchable research objectives for academic success. Creating clear and research objectives for academic success, like I've said, the essence is to be successful in your academic journey as researchers and postgraduate students. Let's look at the that slide I'm showing right now. Which is a metaphor indicating or explaining a research endeavor that maybe is starting without any objective in mind. You see, you can see the person, the person in that image can be a man or a woman, although the way it has been pictured is indicating a man, but it represents a man, a woman, a student, whether postgraduate, a researcher, and whoever, who is embarking on any research endeavor and throwing that at an aimless spot is blindfolded, can injure people, can waste his time, resources, and it can result to accidental discharge. Okay, and anything you can interpret from here, please feel free to interpret the images you are seeing on the screen. You see, embarking on a journey. If someone embarks on a journey without a destination in mind, then that person will drive aimlessly, not knowing where he is going. Your research is navigated by well-developed research objectives. Okay, so let's go to the second slide, the next slide, which is the introduction. On this research topic, I mean, the topic that is under discussion right now, we are looking at three key words. What is research? What are the objectives? And what are the research objectives? Okay, research in a layman's language is an investigation to solve nagging societal problems in several ways. You can solve problems differently in several ways. And also, it's not a one-way direction. It's not a one-way journey. Okay, research is there for us to inquire, to explore, to conduct, to determine and investigate whatever you want to investigate. What are the objectives we are talking about here? Objectives are those specific issues within the scope of the stated purpose that the researcher wants to focus on and examine in the study. Okay, objectives are there, and if you look at even the word objective, to be objective means to be unbiased, not to be sentimental. And when you are conducting any scientific research or a study, you are looking at an evidence-based information. That is why the research processes will normally start from literature review. You are looking at review from your topic that you intend to conduct, and from there you now start looking at what am I going to do, the gaps and so on and so forth. Then what are the research objectives? Research objectives are the framework, the foundations, the basics of any successful investigation. They are specific, measurable, and achievable goals that the researcher aims to accomplish within a specified time frame. Okay, when you look at the SMART, I've coined it as SMART with 3 R's, but as we proceed on the journey, we'll see how. When we talk about our research objectives should be SMART, meaning specific, measurable, achievable. The 3 R's represent realistic, the second R, relevant, the third R, researchable, and then the T talks about time-bound. Let's proceed. I believe we are following. Okay, but the next slide talks about importance of precisely written research objectives. I have 2 slides covering this. I have slides 4 and 5. This discuss the importance of precisely written research objectives. You can see the benefits of creating precisely written research objectives. It shows that when we have research objectives that are clearly written, not only clearly written, it is precise. The objectives are precise, they are specific, they are measurable, achievable, they answer to SMART principles, the SMART model. Then it will help us to shape our research direction. It will help us to define the scope and the outcomes. Research objectives will help us to determine the literature search and review that will be undertaken. It will help us to look at what areas are we looking at, and after looking at the problems and those things that has come to your mind and you have passion to solve, then the topic will emerge from the problem. Okay, then when we have precisely written research objectives, one of the important points here is it will help researchers to determine research design and methodology for data gathering. collection, analysis, interpretation, and conclusion and recommendation for them. And also to help researchers to determine the cost implications, the time scale, and the nature of the study. Is it cross-sectional or longitudinal? Really, for students in the School of Research, definitely they cannot go for longitudinal research because their program is time framed. It has the scope when they start the program and when they should complete. So almost all the time, the researchers in the academic setting will always go for a cross-sectional survey. Research objectives, importance. We further point on importance of precisely written research objectives. It helps researchers to locate where the data will be gathered and the subjects concerned, which will help the researcher to allocate resources effectively, financial, human, and time. And it will also help the quality of the study through evaluation to be determined, and also ensure that everyone, the stakeholders, the participants, the respondents, or the funding agents, they are working towards the same goal. Now let's look at slide 6. Here is about the making distinction between general objective and specific objectives. It's very important. You see, here we are looking at general objective and specific objectives. General objective is one, there are not many, encompasses all that you want to intend to do, the researcher wants to do, the intention, all that you intend to do in that research, to do, to explore, to investigate, to study. It's like a capsule. You know, when you buy a capsule in the pharmacy shop, it has it embraces all that has been packaged. That is the essence of general objective. It encapsulates research. Why can't we, maybe the question that may come up is, why can't we only have general objective? You see, when you have only the general objective, you may not be able, it will be too broad, and you may not be able to even determine most of the indicators to measure your variables, and this will be too broad or too big or large for you to handle. So, and that is why we need to break it, the general objective, down to specific objectives. And it is like if you are building a 7-story building, you have to first of all, after doing all the due diligence, you get a permit. That is one of the objectives. The land is already secured, and that's another objective. You cannot just start building. You have to dig the foundation, the ground floor, and the mezzanine floor, the first floor, second floor. You know, it's step by step, and the same thing. So you try to break down the general objective into specific objectives, and these specific objectives help researchers to break the problems, the research problems, into smaller researchable objectives, or mini researches that, when combined, resolve the major objective, which is the general objective. So both objectives to reflect the independent and the dependent variable. What are you measuring against what? Okay. Let's move. Let's progress. Okay. Let's look at examples of action and words, verbs that should be employed in the use of creating our research objectives. You can see, in trying to create research objectives, I've listed precisely and poorly crafted. You have seen the way they are written. The precisely crafted is to analyze. We have them there like you can see, as you are seeing it now, to investigate, to examine, to compare, to establish, to determine, to measure, to test. You can see, when we compare it with the poorly crafted, they are no match. If you look at the poorly crafted to look, when after looking, what else do you want to do? You have seen what you want to see. Then does the research, is the research necessary to understand, to check? These are just they are vocabularies that are not fit for academic languages or academic vocabularies to check, to feel, to talk about, to find, to see, to deliberate upon. You know, when you look at this, you can see the differences between these two action and passive verbs. Let's look at the practical examples of precisely written research objectives. And the examples are clear and discipline specific. I've listed a few disciplines here: psychology, sociology, engineering, human resource. For example, if you look at psychology on the screen, it's the general objective. Maybe the person wants to investigate the issue of social media effect on self-esteem among adolescents. Let's say that is the topic. Then from the topic, we now craft or create the general objective to examine the relationship between social media use and self-esteem among adolescents. From here, let's look at one or two specific specific objectives that we can create from there. One says to measure the frequency and duration of social media usage among adolescents. The second specific objective is to assess levels of self-esteem using standardized psychological scales. That is under psychology. You see, the examples I've given here, they are clear and discipline specific. Let's look at sociology. Sociology, the topic of the research may be or the determinants of rural urban migration on family cohesion in Kenya or in Namibia or in Sierra Leone, depending on the location of the researchers or the researcher. Okay, let's look at the general objective. We may coin it like this: to investigate the effects of rural urban migration on family cohesion in Kenya. Specific objectives, like I've listed there, I have two: to examine the socio-economic drivers of rural urban migration, to analyze changes in family roles and relationships due to rural urban migration. There's an error there, okay? Let's look at human resource management. Maybe you are interested in determining the influence of employee engagement strategies on organizational performance. Then the general objective that we have crafted here, created, reads thus: to assess the influence of employee engagement strategies on organizational performance in the bank. Even mere looking at the general objective, you can see the independent variables and the dependent variables and the particular participants or the organization that you want to use, like the banking sector there. The specific objectives, we have two here as examples: to evaluate the relationship between employee engagement and staff retention, to determine the influence of leadership style on employee commitment and organizational performance. In the engineering faculty or engineering study, the general objective reads thus: to investigate the structural efficiency of recycled concrete aggregates in residential construction. The civil engineering department or program. Then the specific objectives, we have two: to evaluate cost effectiveness of using recycled materials, to analyze environmental implications of using sustainable materials in construction. Let me use one example in public health. The general objective may read: to examine the impact of health education on contraceptive use among teenage girls. Then specific objectives may read: to assess the knowledge levels before and after the intervention, because it's an intervention issue program that has been introduced for teenage girls to reduce pregnancy or controlled pregnancy among our adolescents. And the second specific objective may read thus: to determine the change in reported usage after 6 months. Let's move on. Okay, yeah. Let's look at slide 10. This slide shows examples that are humorously and informally written poorly. You know, we have looked at the precisely written research objectives. Let's look at the other side of the coin. Okay, you see, if you look at the examples here, to look at, I've mentioned earlier in the in one of the previous slides, to look at employee motivation. To look means it's so vague, it's so unclear, it lacks purpose. To look, how do you measure look? That is what we are talking. No measurable outcome or specific variable. It lacks clarity about the scope or context. Okay, and another poorly crafted research objectives may read like this: to understand feelings. How do you measure understanding? How do you measure understanding? Understand feelings in people. Which people? Who are the people? You have not determined the population you are extracting the sample from, and we don't even know the people you are talking about, the categories of the people who use internet a lot. The poorly crafted objectives here is so non-specific language, feelings, and a lot. It's just a slang. It's not undefined, no theoretical framework, and so no, it's not researchable. If you embark on this, you will be writing, and the writing will be aimless. To check if recycled materials are okay in buildings, to check if you have checked, start checking what else. It's an informal tone that we have used and very vague. It's not measurable. It doesn't reflect any scientific rigor expected in engineering research. And the next one too is find out stuff. What is stuff? We don't allow slang and non-academic phrasing or academic vocabularies. We have specific vocabularies meant for researchers to use in any research endeavor. We don't use slangs. We don't use informal phrases and let me say jargons, for example. So it's not clear. The population you are talking about is not clear. The variables are not there. So what are we measuring? How are we going to conduct and design even the questionnaires? When we design the conceptual framework, how are we going to determine the independent variables? What are the indicators that we measure the independent variables and also the dependent? These are issues in crafting poorly, in poorly crafting research objectives. And to talk about buildings with plans, you see, to explore how people feel when they see that. These are things that you can fix the poorly written research objectives at your own free time. When you look inward into your own research currently that you are working on, this will assist you and help. It will help you to see where you have not done well or you improve on it. That is the essence of this seminar. Let's look at the reasons why people create research objectives that are not good enough, that are poor. You can see the slide. It is portraying what? Vague topics, confused objectives, flawed methodologies, and weak or untenable findings. If you look at these reasons, because the topic they are looking at is maybe too broad, maybe so vague, creating confusion, and the topic may lack focus. The topic may, on the other side, to be too narrow or specific, limiting the scope of the study as well. The topic may not even align to the research questions being explored. The research questions are not even aligning with research objectives. They are not aligning with the topic. They are not aligning with hypotheses. So there's so much discrepancies, no coherence, nothing. And the problems, if the problems are ill-defined, that is the genesis of the research problems that researchers will face deeply when they embark on the problem statement. Is key in any research, and I know we have done that in one of our sessions on African Journal Club platform, organized by founder Aurelia Munene. The topic is ill-conceived. This is one of the reasons as well. Poor understanding of the problems regarding. If we don't understand the problem we want to solve, to embark upon an understanding of the problems we want to solve and to gather information about. We must understand. We must really have the understanding. And that's why we need to start reading review of literature related to the topic we intend to solve. Long data gathering methods, if you are using methods that are not aligned with your problem statement, with your research topic, definitely the research objectives will not be crafted precisely and correctly. Wrong assumptions about the subject or participant for the research. Look at the flow chart illustrating poorly constructed research objectives. When the topic is not well written, is vague, it will lead to confused objectives, it will lead to flawed methodology or methodologies if you have a mixed method, and also weak findings or untenable findings. Untenable findings. Findings that will result into rejection and outright total rejection of the work. So that one takes us to the guidelines for creating smart research objectives. This is showing the SMART guidelines and framework. This is an excellent inclusion repetition. I've mentioned a few of these in the previous slides, 1 or 2 slides, okay? But repetition helps us to reinforce learning. When you repeat this, you hammer it, you stress it, it's showing the importance of what you are saying, okay? Okay, so can we identify if our research objectives are measurable? We can think back and look inward into what we are doing presently as students, postgraduate students, as researchers. Let's can we identify? You can imagine, you can look back into what your work right now, the paper you are trying to write. Does your time frame match the scale of your research? You see, here you are talking about specific, measurable, achievable, researchable, realistic, and relevant. What do we mean by specific? It must be particular. It must be particular. It must be restricted to a particular end. It must be intended for a particular thing. That is what makes your research objective, the research objectives, to be specific. It is peculiar. It is precise, accurate, clear-cut, correct. Let's look at the second the M, measurable. It must be quantifiable. It must be numerable. It is discrete. Discrete in the sense that it is not continuous. It's either 1, 2, 3, 4, so that they are numbers. It is either 0 or 1, or off or not or on. It must be measurable. Let's look at achievable. Achievable means it must be feasible, practicable. It must be workable and possible, attainable. Then let's look at realistic. It means it is practical, it is realistic, it is real, and also it is researchable. It is researchable, realistic, and relevant, aligning to the topics, to the topic you are looking at, the problem statement, aligning to the research questions, the hypothesis, and time bound. The time bound, on time, confinable, targeted. That makes, you can see the image there, the arrow targeted, the central point is not at the periphery of the center, it's at the center of the center, not the periphery of the center. It hits the target. And that's what we are talking about, creating smart research objectives. Question to ask ourselves: what do I want to accomplish through this research? The research you are embarking upon, or you are on now, ask yourself. I'm asking myself on that paper I'm trying to write, what do I want to accomplish? What do you want to accomplish? What impact do you want your research to have? With a clear understanding of your research objectives, it will help you to break down the research objectives. Okay? You identify how the guidelines continue. You identify the research questions. You identify the research questions.
Yes, sir.
To review related and relevant literature to identify the concepts, like I've said earlier. Review of relevant literature is non-negotiable. It's critical in any research you want to do. That is why we researchers postgraduate students in the School of Research, we must be ready to study, to read broadly on the topic we have chosen, so that we can see the methodology they have used, the theories backing up the research, the literature, the gaps, the research gaps, the analysis used, the findings. It will guide us, because you will not be the first person to want to embark on this. People, scholars, many people have done researches or studies in this area. Identify the research aim that summarizes the overall goal of your research. Develop the SMART research. We have mentioned it, and we have mentioned it in one of the slides before now, using the action verbs. And the research objectives should align with your research questions and activities. In conclusion, it is our responsibility to ensure that every time and everything we do in research, we take ownership. We own it as our baby. Okay. So, in conclusion, research objectives are the support structures of any successful inquiry. They enable researchers to eliminate noise, which may be white or colored noise. The use of white noise and colored noise here serve as metaphors for confounding variables. Okay, white noise attracts confounding variables to the independent variables, which biases the quality of the research. And also colored noise here attracts confounding variables that will negatively affect the output of the dependent variable, which may bias. So we must be able to eliminate whatever comes as barriers, anything that comes as a barrier, or everything and all things that come as barriers, okay? They enable a study if we're able to act and create appropriate research objectives. Is enable the study to be appropriate, impactful, and of quality. Therefore, we should have clear destination before embarking on our research. In wrapping up, we can check our current research and ask ourselves, have I clearly stated my variables? Is each objective aligned with my research question? Are my objectives achievable within the time frame and complete and cost implications? Thank you for listening. Yes.
Yes,
my presentation.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Kemi, for that presentation and for taking us through a very rigorous way of reflecting about research objectives. Open for questions, for further discussion. Share more. You can also share your, they're using the SMART approach. So one of the questions, Dr. Kemi, is the two words, aims of the research and objectives are different. How should one know which one to use and when? So this person would like the differentiation between aims and objectives. And when do you use aims and when do you use objectives?
Okay.
Should I read one by one? Then you can answer that, then I tell you the other one. Okay.
I think we can maybe answer one by one. Or let the participants, whatever they like to do. Do we answer one by one? Yes. Can I go ahead?
Yes, you can go ahead. Yes.
Okay, thank you. The question is the difference between research aims and I didn't get that. The difference between a research objective and
research aims. And
okay.
aims. Is there a difference between aims and objectives?
Yes, they are distinct and serve different purposes. The research aims are broad statements that describe the overall purpose of your study. Yeah. Although people use it interchangeably, but there are a few distinctions between the two. They are usually written in a general and abstract manner, describing the ultimate goal of the research. And the research, while the research objective defines what the researcher aims to achieve. at the end of the study. So the objective is what the researcher wants to achieve at the end of. But this one is the ultimate. Is it broader than the research objectives? You know, okay. Unless we want to look at general objective now, general objective encapsulates all that we want to achieve, which is that's why I said they are they are used interchangeably, but just a little difference between the two. Have I answered your question?
Have you been answered? The person who asked, we will see, but thank you. How many objectives should a research study have? Is there a number, Dr. Kemi?
Yes. It depends on the subject matter and the scope of the research. There's no one way to the number of objectives that somebody wants to put down, but it's better to have fewer well-defined objectives that can be realistically achieved rather than many that might be overwhelming or too broad. Okay, it is a good practice to put them in perspective of what you want to do. For example, at the undergraduate level, you can maybe, it's just a suggestion, there is no one rigid way to it, okay? Maybe between 2 and 3 research objectives. At master's level, it may be between 3 and 5. And at PhD level, it may be between 4 and 6. It should address a unique dimension, but not logical, you know. It must attend a unique dimension of your research.
Thank you. So it really depends on the
subject matter. Yeah, the content, the topic.
Okay. Someone has some chickens. Maybe let me mute. Okay. Let me read another one.
Okay.
So I think also, as you say, Dr. Kemi, when you use the SMART model of making it's researchable, so you also put your objectives as well based on what you can actually also research as well. That's what I also picked from your, because also you make, even at master's level, you may make it so big, and then you can't even finish your master's within the time. So I think you're very right to say the numbers that you've given, and then also confirm with your supervisor and your institution. Okay, another question is, if you want to assess awareness and knowledge of teachers on autism, for example, can I combine the two in one objective? So this person wants to assess awareness and knowledge of teachers on the issue of autism. Can they combine the two? So the two, I think they mean awareness and objective. So can you do, and knowledge, can you combine awareness and knowledge in one objective, or it will be too much with that objective not be specific anymore?
Okay. Yeah, you see, it is better to have an understanding of what you are, because when you combine awareness and knowledge of teachers on autism, okay, that means you want to maybe use a it's possible, maybe you want to now look at the correlation between the two, or you want to look at 2 variables at the same time, but you must first of all understand how you want to measure that, how you want to analyze, what type of statistical measure or analysis will help you to measure and analyze the data collected from there. That we advise, for example, I cited an example that examined the impact of health education on, so which one, if you are looking at awareness and knowledge, okay, awareness and knowledge, which one will you do first? So I will like to suggest that it's better to handle them one after the other. Awareness is different from knowledge, unless your indicators for measuring awareness are the same with indicators of measuring knowledge. These are the 2 things we need to consider. If your indicators for measuring awareness and knowledge are the same, okay? But if not, and you have indicators and self-awareness is an independent variable separate from knowledge, which is another independent variable, then it's better for you to measure, to have two different research objectives on those two variables. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone else can add. As we say, this is also an interactive space. You can also add, you can answer. So they say thank you. Jacob says, I joined late, so may have missed some aspects of the presentation. From the point where I joined, I noticed that the presentation leaned towards quantitative research. I'm wondering whether you could share some insights about developing qualitative research objectives.
Okay.
Yes, the slides will be shared, don't worry. Yeah. Is there any difference for qualitative objectives vis-a-vis quantitative ones, quantitative study?
Okay. If we are looking at objectives, and we have said our research objectives should be SMART, it doesn't matter if it is quantitative or qualitative. Qualitative objectives too must still be specific and visible. It must answer the SMART model of objectivity in research. For example, anything you are talking about in qualitative research, qualitative research too has its own methodology, has its own way that we make it scientific. Although most of the things done is narratives. And that's why when you involve your participants, for example, you have decided to use the focus group discussions, interviews, observation, and interviews that will, there are interviews and there are interviews. Interviews tools are different. So you don't ask questions yes and no, yes and no. That means that's the end of it. But you have, you ask questions that will provoke, generate information from the participant. So all this you are doing, you must ensure that it still satisfy the SMART model that we are looking at in creating research objectives. So whether qualitative or quantitative, it must satisfy the SMART objectives in research, in designing your research objectives.
Yes, thank you. I think maybe, Dr. Kemi, there is also the slide you shared about the terms to use. Maybe you can show that slide. I also feel the difference that comes between quantitative objectives and qualitative is also the words that you're using. Go ahead. There's the words you put, the phrases you're using. So if you're using quantitative, I think you'd use words that you'd use this are they verbs? Yes, that allow you to measure.
Analyze.
Because it's about measurement, it's about analyzing.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis qualitative objectives might be more explorational. So I think the verb really is a very important aspect of your objective, because it's the one that will also guide you in how you're going to actually analyze that particular objective. So sometimes I see people put a verb that is meant to be for a qualitative study, and they put it for a quantitative study. And therefore, when you read that objective, you know that that person cannot measure, cannot get the response they want. For instance, you're trying to maybe establish if something is affecting another, and you're using a verb like, I want to explore if this affects this. So I think that particular verb, which is more for qualitative, you may not be able to answer that question if you're using quantitative methods, because exploration is another way that you will analyze that data. But if you want to measure, you might use, maybe I want to examine, I want to analyze, I want to investigate. So that's what I wanted to mention, but we can hear more views from others, how you have interacted with these particular verbs when you're crafting your studies, especially for those who are doing mixed methods. Because I think, Dr. Kemi, let me know, when you're doing mixed method, it means that your objectives will have both quantitative objectives that are addressing the quantitative part of the study, and also you will put in qualitative objectives that allow you to answer the qualitative study. So both of them will be mixed together
yeah.
when you're doing a mixed study, right? So
yes,
maybe
you are
people
right.
can also share, have you had a challenge in how you're phrasing these objectives, so that sometimes you're being told you'll not be able to achieve your study the way you've put it. Let's hear also views from other people. Please, you can unmute and just also share as well. Let's hear some perspective. Dr. Kemi, do you have anything to say about those verbs? Someone is also asking about the word evaluate. When
The
we
word
say
about,
we're evaluating,
excuse me?
the verb evaluate.
Okay.
The verb evaluate, like in this study, I want to evaluate.
Yes. Yeah. You want to evaluate.
Let me see the question.
Okay.
So when to use the word evaluate in the objective? Was asking me. Okay. I think let me answer, and then Dr. Kemi, you can also put your. I think when you use the word evaluate, to me it would feel like your objective is seeking to examine, but I stand to be corrected. Examine something that has already taken place, and then you want to see, you want to evaluate, you want to assess what has happened. Maybe it's a program, maybe it's an intervention that has been happening, and then you want to see how this intervention has fared vis-a-vis what was the intended outcome. Maybe you want to check what was to evaluate maybe how a particular intervention, like maybe giving free laptops, what kind of I don't want to say impact, how did it shape maybe outcomes for learning, maybe retention in schooling or something like that. So I feel you use evaluation when you want to see something that has already happened and how it's what are some of its outcomes. Sometimes someone told me that for our master's and our PhD programs, there's a bit of discouraging to do evaluative type of thesis, because those are more M&E type of studies, which might require one to have a baseline. And so I think, I'm not sure about using evaluation, but I've seen a bit of discouragement from doing evaluation type of thesis, because then it's like an M&E research. It's very restricted. Rather do those that allow you to ask questions that are less evaluative. But I'm open. If anyone can add light to that, please do.
Okay, thank you, Aurelia. The issue of evaluation is a measuring tool to assess if there is an intervention. What was there before you introduced the intervention? And you first of all take the situation analysis right from the beginning to ensure that what is the state of the organization in terms of absenteeism, in terms of the problem that has been raised, like poor performance, poor productivity, or low commitment, because that is the problem. Then, okay, let's start 2 years back. We look at records, we look at data that have developed, have gathered in the organization. Then the intervention is introduced. After the intervention, then you measure again, you evaluate, you assess, you gauge it. Does it work or is it not working? Has it worked? Who are the people that have benefited? or is the situation going worse, or has it improved? So evaluation, and that is why it's difficult if the students are complaining that it has been difficult for them. It's possible because you have not introduced anything before. You embarked on your research, on your academic program in the university. You did not have the knowledge of saying, okay, before you registered for the course, maybe master's or PhD, you have not gone to the organization to conduct situation analysis. What are their problems? Or you went there, you thought, you assumed that they are having this problem, low commitment, low performance, absenteeism rate is so high, and you get there and they are telling you, no, we are okay. So that's one. Then another one, maybe you went there quite all right and you are able to get some information, but it will take a process, and that is why it may likely be a longitudinal survey, not a cross-sectional that you just go there within 6 months, you have gathered your data and you have analyzed. But if you are going to introduce an intervention, it will take some time. It will take you to evaluate, to determine the starting point, what has been the problem, who are the people affected, where are they affected much, what have they been doing, and all this, what are the cost implications, what are the constraints. If we fail to introduce intervention, then what are the consequences if we are failing not to solve the problem? So then once you do that, then you now design the program as an intervention program. Designing a program, introducing the program, this is a change process, and managing change is another challenge. If you have not considered all these processes, it is difficult for university to allow you to do evaluation. It will take time. It may lead to a longitudinal study, and you are there for 8 years to 10 years, you have not achieved anything. And who is sponsoring you? Do you have such funding that will be able to make sure that you will be able to do the intervention? And wait, how many years are you going to allow the intervention for the employees to internalize and to make a change, or make changes, and then you go back to, will you meet the same employees, the numbers, the new employees that were not involved in the change plan? These are the complications that may arise in the process of conducting the research. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kemi. Anyone in the audience would love to hear a few voices, a few insights. You can unmute, you can share. We don't have more questions and we have some time. So please share your thoughts. You can also disagree, you can correct, anything. We are a free space. We just want to learn together. Okay, you can put on chat. Yes, of course, you will access the recording, the slides. We share this on Monday because we usually put our recording as YouTube, but not, we don't have to make the YouTube shareable, but we found it easier for people than to send them a Zoom recording link. So we just turn it into a YouTube link. Then it's easy for them to pause, to go back. Yeah, so we'll share that on Monday on both groups, the Africana Journal Club and also on the Rising Scholars page. And if you're not in any of those groups, maybe we can share the link for Africana Journal Club so that you can join and have the recording and slides shared with you. So any more comments, any more reflection? Is there someone who right now is stuck with the objectives and your supervisor keeps giving you comments about your objectives and you're feeling a bit confused? Please share. Okay, let me share the group links. Hello, somebody. Okay, what are the key elements that make up a SMART objective? Okay, so Tijani is asking, what makes a SMART objective. So we know what SMART means, we know what measurable means. So what are the key elements? I'm not sure, Tijani, how you mean.
Okay, good morning.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Olukemi, for the presentation. It has been a very educative one. So my question, I'm trying to find out if we have you have given us some phrases and verbs. So I'm now looking at for the whole of objective. So what are the key elements that we'll find? Is it going to contain like when we have the PICO in systematic reviews, we have the population, we have the intervention, control, and exposure, something like that. Do we have something like when we write an objective, or just like also for a research question, what are the key elements that must be contained? Is it okay? We know that we have talked about time frame, like something like it has to reflect the time. So I don't know whether you get my question now.
Not really clear to me, please. Excuse me.
I think it's Tijani. Have you understood it, Kemi?
Not really.
How I have understood it is what should be in an objective. So for instance, one of the things that you've mentioned, there has to be the verb that gives the direction of what will be done with this objective. Are we exploring? Are we examining? What are we doing? Then what else should be in that objective? I think that's what I understood. Maybe there should be the independent variable should be clear, the variables that are being measured. So I think he's asking, when you look at an objective, what things should it have to make it SMART? Okay. One of it you said is population. You have, like what should you make sure you're mentioning so that then it can read SMART? Is that what you mean, Tijani?
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly. That's what I mean.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You see, for example, let me just give you an example. If you are looking at, maybe we are in the education faculty, or we have registered for an education program, and the topic we want to look at, or we want to, to investigate now, the topic for my research under the education department of faculty may be student dropout in rural secondary schools in Kiambu County, Kenya. Let's have that. My general objective may be to examine or to investigate the causes of dropout among secondary schools, rural secondary schools in Kiambu County, Kenya. That is my general objective. Let us now look at what maybe the topic is. The topic may be students dropout, or the determinants of student dropout, or factors influencing, depending even on the level, maybe a bachelor's degree or master's. There's a way we have to even craft our topic. It's not just giving words and leaving. No, it must be concise. A topic should not be more than 12 to 15. If it is much, it shouldn't be more than 18 word count. That is my own understanding. You may disagree with me, but because this topic alone should show to your supervisors, your panelists, the people that will listen to you when you are trying to do the concept paper, the proposal, they should be able to say, okay, this is your independent variable. Although you are not going to list out all the variables under the independent, but the independent variable will stand out, the dependent variable will stand out, and the population we are going to use will stand out, and also the location. That's why we say location specific, topic specific, independent variable specific, dependent variable. These are, what we are talking about, the specificity of what we are talking about. So mere looking at the topic will definitely tell you, oh, for example, perceived organizational support on employee commitment in academic, in higher education institutions in Kenya. That is the topic, for example. Perceived organizational support on academic employee commitment in higher education institutions in Kenya. For example, from there, I'm looking at what are those supports given, obtainable in the institutions of higher learning. And look at, if you have some, I don't know how many universities we have in Kenya, both public and private. I have to state categorically, am I going to conduct a research in private or public or both? Even the topic must show it right from, so that you know if it is only private universities. Then when you are now writing in the thesis, in the book, in your thesis, then you will now be explaining how you came up with the sampling, the sample size, the sampling Cronbach formula that you have used, the population, what guided your population. So from that topic, you have already given us an indication that you know what you are doing. But if the topic is so wordy, too vague, too broad, you combine so many things, it will not be researchable. So let me just go over to that one. Let me give an example of that education issue. The objectives may be, one of the specific objectives may be to assess school infrastructure, because the problem we are looking at is the dropout. Infrastructure may not be available, especially for if we are talking about even rural. I don't know rural Kiambu here. Any rural place that is so rural, maybe you can mention it, okay? So we want to access parental involvement in taking responsibility for the education of their children. We want to look at the girl child as a teenager, the boy. So, the researcher should be sure, having an understanding of what you really want to do. When we talk about supervisors are not they are not the ones doing the research for us. We must settle down, we must read, we must know why we have registered for this course, right from the beginning, why we are entering the university to do this at master's, postgraduate, PhD, a postdoc, or bachelor's degree, or research. Because if we don't have an understanding of the research topic, let me tell you, we go back and forth, we go and we now blame supervisors. Although some supervisors, you know what they can do. Not all supervisors are bad. Not all supervisors are sadists. Not all supervisors are melancholists. Or melancholics. Okay, so we should take ownership of this. I think, don't let me deviate too much from what, I think I've answered your question, Tijani. Hello?
Okay, thank you, ma. Thank you. Over.
Thank you too for the question.
Thank you so much, Kemi. I would like to ask a question as well. I didn't see the option to put up my hand. When you spoke about time bound, is there like a specific time for a study to say that if you want maybe to position? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yes, when you spoke about time bound as a key thing to consider when doing the research objective and the proposal like that, is there like a specific good time to say that the study will cover maybe the 5 years or 10 years or 20 years? What is the most comfortable time to cover? Because again, you cannot do for 50 years before time. So I just would like to get your feel on what you could propose as a good time for the study to cover. Thank you.
Thank you, Sisi Kiramba.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a good question. You know, when you talk about the time frame, initially, by the time you complete your coursework as a student, whether master's or PhD, whatever, you see, right there at the onset of the program, what I did when I was doing my PhD, I've already conceived my topic before then. So I've already planned ahead. I've already written my draft research proposal then before I registered for the course. Even I wanted to do PhD by monogram, by research. Yeah, by research. But I was told that no, you have to go to class. So I went to class, you see, and in the process of that, even the research methodology I was put through, right there and then, there was a time we had a practical session and the lecturer said, okay, can you just write your proposed topic? And everybody was trying to, create topics, which I had in my mind before. I put it, and that was what I researched on when I started my research. Immediately we were through with the coursework. You see, you will have to, in your topic, the topic will even make you to be sure of the the possible time span or time frame that you have. You cannot have an endless, it is like planning. You see, when you have a budget, in the budget you have all the things you need to do. Like you have a Gantt chart template. The Gantt chart has expected activity and actualized activities. Are we together? You have already designed the graph, and you say the timing, April 2025. Within the next 3 months, I should have completed my research, my literature review, desktop review. Okay, you have to, the researcher must settle down to think through on the research, to think through on the topic, to think through and plan. This plan, you now put it on paper, like in a Gantt chart, supported with a budget. So when you do that, for example, we are talking about this issue of the passive organizational support on academic employee commitment in public universities in Kenya. Very straightforward. I should be able to say, okay, by the time I finish my coursework, and I will have to have read, and I've started reading even while I was doing my coursework. I've had a notebook. When I read, I note the journal, the year of publication, the authors. I keep the book makes me to have a record, so that when I'm compiling, I'm not looking for information again on my laptop that maybe crashed one day and everything got lost. No. So everything is mapped out right from day one until you defend and you graduate. So research is not a child's play that we read papers and then okay. No, it is a rigorous exercise. The totality of yourself will be there from head to toe. So the issue of time bound and targeting the time is very important, because okay, now you have registered for a 3-year course, and if there is no time bound, even in your office, I believe you are an employee. CC.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, you are an employee. What time do you resume your office?
It's a 9 to 5 job.
9 to 5.
Yes.
In your letter of appointment, were you not told that you have to resume 9?
Yes.
That is talking about timing. Timing is key. Anything you are doing is a pity on us Africans. I want to say this. We are not shying away from this. You feel a marriage ceremony, no time. You feel a party, engagement, no time. So you want people to come and just come there. They don't know when they will start. They don't know when they will. No, things must change. It's the same culture, the same mindset and mentality we carry into our educational endeavor, which is not correct. So it is the onus lies on us to make sure that we plan. The lecturer will not plan with you. Your supervisors, whether you have 1 or 2 or 3, they will never it is you that will be driving them. They know that you are serious. You call them. Some of them may be a bit, because they are busy. And you know, the omnibus duties of lecturers, they are the ones that they go for outreaches, community services. They have to do 3 CATs before exam, CAT 1, CAT 2, examination, moderation, publication, teaching, counseling. They told them that they should have open door policy. They must open their offices from 8 to 10 p.m. And you want, it's a human being, it's not a machine. These are the issues. So on the issue of time frame is very key for you to, even if you have planned that, okay, once I finished, I complete my coursework, I don't want to spend more than a year after that. You see, that means you don't wait until finishing your coursework. You have an idea of what you are doing. So you start in the course of, by the time you progress into the second semester of your program, then you start working on your research, doing your literature review, looking at information, going to visit the other, just doing your background information. It's not that after you complete that work that, and let me tell you, that I'm talking to you, right? It's not that I finished my PhD 3 years or 4 years or 6 years. Other things came up that I didn't plan for. I didn't envisage, and that is life. So when you start early, at least if you will delay a bit, maybe some external factors that you have no control over may now come up, which, for example, a lady that got married in the process of doing his master's or PhD, and babies came, twins came. Let me tell you, you have to, first of all, shelve it. After some time, you come back. Then you now write a letter to your school. I'm deferring with tangible evidence that this is, and they will allow you. So these are the issues. Talking about the issues facing or challenging women in the academics or the academic environment. I hope I've answered your question, Sisi. I love your name.
Yes, you have. And I just have one other small question.
Okay, please go ahead.
I would like to know, in terms of a topic, which is best, and I'll use the example that you gave us of, is it about the private schools and the public schools?
Okay.
Would a study that combines both be a good one, or is it too broad and you'd rather maybe just focus on either the private or the public?
For the public, okay.
Also, if again under the public, you just concentrate on a small number of schools or one school, which one is good at the PhD level?
At the PhD level, thank you, Sisi. You see, first of all, you must be ready to ensure that what you want to embark upon, you have the resources. 1, you have the time. 2, you have the mental capacity. 3, and you have what it takes. So, when you start your PhD, it's not you have to boycott some friends because of that. It's a serious matter. It's not the time you have, if you're going to parties and celebrations of this and that family, maybe you initially, before you registered for the PhD, you are going for marriage, I don't know, baby showers, this and that and that. The ceremonies we attend. Maybe you always have maybe up to 6 within 6 months. Let's say 6, or within a year. Don't let me be too. You have to cut it to 2, unless it is you doing the party. It's not compulsory. Send your money. You don't need to go there. That is how serious the issue of research is. Research is something that at times you have worked, you have read, you are tired. You will go and sleep for 2-3 days before you talk to you even look at your book again. Why? Because the brain is saturated. The brain is already and that is the capacity of the brain. And after some time, you bounce back again, and that's it. So the issue of topic is very important. You may decide to use public and private, that's a comparison study. Are we together? Then you may decide to use even public only, but even the public only, for example, public universities, how many in Kenya? More than 100. If you are looking at public universities, yeah, it should be up to 50 or thereabout. Are you going to collect data in all those 50 universities? It's not possible. That is why you must, first of all, you have already determined the population. Then the respondents that you are going to now sample, you must now have the sampling formula. There is that in research. You know, research is interesting. You must justify why you did this, and that is part of the research. You must be reporting what you have done. Why did you choose it? You must have a reason. Back up with citations, people that have done it before. This issue of Cronbach alpha 0.76% is a rule of the thumb. Okay. So if you have something that is not measuring to 70 and you have 65%, so to say, okay, 0.65, okay, I call it, if I converted it to 100%, and you have to justify and tell your supervisor is correct. It's not everything they have to throw out. In some psychological studies, educational study, it is allowed. I'm just using that as a thought. You can either use public or private or both, but it depends on you. You understanding the subject matter, you are ready to work, you are ready to do the work. It is your supervisor's role is to guide you. It's not the owner of the research. It's just to guide, and it's guiding you. Even when you get to your supervisor and is asking you questions, and you can, if that person cannot answer, then he will send you back until you get an understanding. Somebody, I just want to use one example. Somebody raised up an issue on one of the platforms, and he was attending to students and lecturers in the same on the same topic. It's not possible. You cannot finish. You can't finish. You must be sure. Okay, for the institutions now, I'm looking at what? Academic. I'm not looking at just ordinary employees, the administrators. Academics. And who are these academics or academicians? The lecturers, both part-time and full-time. I've already segregated my respondents. Okay, so everything we do must be defined, well defined. One thing is to identify, the other is to define. Definition is key. Okay, what do I mean by definition? Identify. I've already identified employee commitment. What is the problem about the commitment? Is it low? Is it poor? Is it not there? Is it inadequate? I'm now defining. I've already identified commitment as a problem, but I've not defined. So if you just put in commitment, what type of the problem now, when you are going to craft the statement of the problem, you must say that there is a low commitment among administrators in public universities in Kenya or in Namibia, in Nigeria, in Lesotho, in South Africa, whatever, whichever location. So please, it is important, get the topic well. Even you must get the topic well. And how can you get the topic well? By crafting the topic. You first of all start from the problem. It's not, most of the students, they will, hey, this is my topic. It's not the topic first. It is reading the literature on the problem you have in mind to research upon. It is reading wide, more than 100. You start with 25, 30, 50 journal articles, peer-reviewed articles. And when you are doing it, you have a book, a notebook that you are writing the sources of your work. And you are now rewriting it in your own English, not copying and paste, to avoid academic fraud and plagiarism theft. So please, these are issues that we need to sort out as researchers. I'm helping myself too. I'm talking to myself too. Okay? So you must be ready to make sure that the problems first, after you have now read the literature, review literature related to what you want to look at. You look at it, how did they do their research? How have they conducted the research? What are the theories backing the conceptual framework, the statistical analysis method? Is it a mixed method or only qualitative or quantitative? Or a lot of issues. And when you, even by the time you will read up to 40, 35, 50, you'll be confident to have your topic. And with that topic, you'll be able to write a concept paper. Even when you meet your supervisor knows that this one is ready for work. But when you go to the supervisor say, okay, how can I help you? I'm still thinking of this. The supervisor, okay, when you are ready, this is my contact. You can call me between so time and so time during the week, once a week. And so that's all. The job lies with me, with you, to do the quality research. Thank you, Cici. Have I answered your question?
Emmy, very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think one of the things I can also add, I find like most people, when they're conceptualizing their research problem, they do not figure out if they will actually have access to the participants that they want to engage in their study. So what I see happening, you carry out your everything, you put together your questions, and when you go to collect the data, you actually realize that you cannot even meet half of the population that you want, half of the sample you want, because either people are too busy, maybe they're not interested in your study. And I have seen students come again to the group and start saying, please, people, help me to fill in my questionnaire. And sometimes I ask them, but are we the sample that you actually wanted for your study? And most of them now they're in a crisis because then they cannot reach the targets of the sample they wanted. So I think as you're conceptualizing your research problem, it's always contact the people you want to do research with. Like if you want to do, like for me, I'm doing my research on aging and healthcare. It will be prudent for me to even visit the office that deals with aging or the organization that I want to engage, have a sit-in with them and ask them, I'd like to do this research. This is what I'm thinking about. Is it useful? Will I have people to speak with? And they can help you figure out. They can tell you, well, people here, maybe they're a bit ambivalent towards research, so they may not answer. So maybe you can think about it this way. So I find like people treat the communities they are going to work with, whether it's an organization, like I should not touch because I should be objective. Because part of your conceptualizing your problem is to see if is it researchable, is it relevant, and how do you determine that if you're so disconnected with the community until the day you're collecting data. In fact, that even promotes very extractive type of research, and people are like, who are you? We don't know you. What are you studying? We were already given questionnaires last time. So I think it really helps if you create a relationship with the community you're going to do your research with, so that then by the time you're coming to collect data, they already are aware you're coming, and also even the findings, they will find them useful, because we have to also break this cycle where postgraduate research is just done for graduation. But in real essence, for me, I find it is a very unethical issue that at postgraduate level, we are engaging with, and it's not our fault, it's how the system is, we're engaging in research that affects people's lives, it takes people's time, but it will only end up in a shelf, and then we graduate and we are happy. I think those are some of the things that make people then, when you send them questionnaires, they just ignore. I have so many people who tell me, I will not answer those questions. This questionnaire is even too heavy. I don't have time. So meeting the community you want to work with before will even help you figure out how much time do these people have, so that even the length of your questionnaire is tapered. The objectives that you have are also put in a way that allows you to answer your questions within the time you have, and also within the time that people have. Otherwise, I've seen people really struggle in getting the sample size they need, because people don't know what you are doing, they don't even know you, and then you're just bringing questionnaires on people. So I think that can really help to solve that issue where you're now stuck. You can't move, you can't fake data. Then 1 year goes, you're still looking for participants. And I think that's quite a big challenge. And if you're, yeah, someone wants to say something.
Yes, please. Thank you for.
If you can't meet the community, how? Yeah. Over to you, Kemi.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much,
You
Aurelia.
also have some.
Yeah, I want to add to that. You see, like you said, that postgraduate students should go beyond the mentality of just let me graduate and that's the end. No, we have, let me see, two major types of students or classes of students. One, some do PhD program for prestige, for status. They just let me add doctor to my name. Those ones, you can never force them to go and they don't teach. They are not an academician. They are not academicians. They can never publish. It is just, okay, like you have a bishop in the church now that have come to register for PhD. Will that one be writing papers after the graduation? That is the end of it. It will just be, I'm okay, I'm Dr. Bishop Kidiko. That's okay, fine. But the second class of this of PhD students that we're talking about, those are the ones that are on this platform on Africa, is it African or Africana Journal Club? Okay.
Africana.
Africana, thank you. African Journal, the academicians, those ones that have made up their minds that, no, I'm going to work. I'm already in the system, teaching, publishing, mentoring people. These are the people that Aurelia Munene has been the founder of IDA Africa has been sent to us. Are you with me? So, and that is the essence of this workshop, the webinars, the seminars, the training, short trainings, this self leadership reading. Okay? When I saw that, I said, oh, this is good. They are on the right direction. You know, when you align with what your vision, where your vision is, you don't have issues. But when you don't have vision than to say, okay, it's all for prestige and to boost my status in the society, they will put it on the shelf. Even after 6 months graduation, they will not be able to tell you what they wrote about in their topic concerning the research. That's what we are talking about. So when you have different types of people, and which is normal, it is the normal thing in life. It's a common denominator across the globe. So some people do it for prestige. Some people do it really as part of their passion to add value to the society they are in, to the community, to the profession, to the people in their profession. Like we are talking about aging and public and healthcare. Aging and it's a public health issue that you are looking, and it will help people. Whatever we are talking about, we help. Even if you are in HR, it cuts across all sectors of the organization and the economy. If it's engineering, it must cut. So people are looking for innovative and creative ways of conducting their research, study, and that's why we have agents that are available for us to fund our studies, our research projects, and also to sponsor people on their postdoctoral studies and PhD and whatever. So these are opportunities, and which I want to appreciate Africana Journal Club. They always post so many important and relevant and information on the platform. So if you have not joined, please join Africana Journal Club. Thank you.
Thank you, Kemi. I think we have someone who is asking, if we can't meet the community, how can gatekeepers help so that we can interact with the community? I think that's an important question, Mary. And I would say, if you're struggling to get the community as you're conceptualizing your study, figure out if you truly cannot access them, then even in your data collection, you may not. So that's why it's important, like you say, find out who speaks in this community, who holds the power, and then those are now the gatekeepers. Gatekeepers, how they can help you. For instance, for me, for my study, it's a master's study. I want to do it in the urban poor locales, and I want to do a qualitative study where I'm going to visit older people, aging people, and hear their lived experiences of navigating the healthcare system. So because I don't live in that particular place, I can't just walk in and start looking for people to speak with. So one of the ways I am navigating that is to look for an organization that has been helping older people, or a health facility that has been taking care of patients that probably they are of an older population. Then I can talk with them and say, I would like to do this study and I would like to speak to people who are older. Do you know any? Are there those you think I could speak with and get their consent? And then we can be able to have a discussion. So for qualitative study, because it relies on purposive sampling, that one I can do. But if you're doing a quant study, which means that you might need to be a bit more objective, non-probabilistic sampling, where you're not really looking for very small pockets of the population, you'll need a wider sample. Then you can, like if I was doing a quant study, I'll just go to the county office, county health office, and tell them that, of course, these offices are not easy to navigate. You just speak to many people, finally find yourself at the county health office, and then find out, or even an NGO can connect you to the county health office, then find out, I would like to know, do you have the population of the people who are aging in this particular area? Where can I get this data? So I think that's part of how you can navigate. So look for the low-lying gatekeepers, those within the power you have, you feel you can access. Let them open another door to another person, and then finally you'll be able to reach the community that you want. But if you find you have a lot of resistance and you cannot break those barriers, I think you might have to reconsider that particular group. Otherwise, during your data collection, you will really struggle. But there is a lot of negotiation, I think, a researcher does that is not stated explicitly. There's a lot of negotiation you have to do in order to access the communities you want to discuss. First, because people are very tired with research. People are very tired with research because they also don't find the benefit. And like if you're doing your research in Kenya, where people are already maybe, and also maybe other parts of Africa, where people are already struggling with daily life, and to them research is not what you're coming to ask them. To them is even a barrier to their time. Or maybe you want to do your study in a corporate where someone already has such high targets, and then you're talking about your research, it becomes a bit difficult. But rely on your negotiation skills. Rely on other people who've done research in that particular area. You can contact them and ask them, how are you able to access this population? And then ultimately, when you reach the population, have a discussion with them. I would like to do this study. Is it relevant for you? Some of them may say, no, we don't, that's not really very relevant. Maybe you can ask it this way. And if it's completely difficult, be flexible to change your research question, your research population, because as one mentor always told me, that's not the last research you will ever do in your life. Like, it's not a do or die. So you can always shelf that for when you have a bit more time to negotiate and know people, and take on a research that is a bit more friendly for you. Because remember, also, all those negotiations to access community takes time and money, because you're moving, you're calling. So you also have to assess all those as you're thinking through your research question. I hope I've been able to answer that. Okay, the link for Africana, let me send it again. Someone is asking, in mixed study, which action verbs are more correct to use? In actions, I lost a couple of questions because I was disconnected. In mixed study, which action verbs are more correct to use? Let me just answer briefly, and then Kemi can answer. I think for a mixed study, I think the action verb you want to use for your objective, which I think is also what Tijani was asking, what should be, as Kemi mentioned, what should be in your objective? One, you have to have the action verb. It really depends on what you want to explore in your question. So if one of your action verbs is, I want to identify, it means then you're concerned with identifying something. I want to explore, I want to examine. So I think, Rehema, it's really led by what you want to find out. We cannot say that for a mixed study, these are the action verbs you should always use. I think the only caution you need to make sure you're differentiating is that a quantitative study will use action verbs that are related to measurements, that will allow you to measure, to derive statistics, to analyze statistics. Whereas a qualitative study or a qualitative inquiry in your objectives, you will look for questions that answer a bit more of the what, the how. Yeah, so I think that's the level of differentiation. And I hope I've answered at both quant and qual. But to now say this is what you should be using, I think that would not be correct, because it will really depend on what do you want to examine in your objective, which is broad, which can be many things. You want to, some want to assess, some want to investigate, others want to compare, others want to identify, others want to explore. I think for my objective, let me see what I'm doing in my objective, but Kemi can come in. I can also share what I'm doing in mine.
Okay, thank you, Aurelia. And thank you for that question again concerning research objectives. You see, there's no one formula to it, and it's not a cookbook approach or model that we are going to use. Having an understanding of crafting, creating, writing precisely worded research objectives, that is the essence of this Zoom short workshop or training, okay? See, nobody will give you a formula. This is how to. There is no formula anywhere. It's not a cookbook approach. If you want to bake 5 kg, a 5 kg cake, sugar 2 kgs, butter 3 kg. This one is different. It depends on your ability to conceptualize what you intend to do. Having an understanding of the topic you want to embark upon, having an understanding of what the topic, the problem, the statement of the problem, who is affected, where is the problem happening. Like Aurelia said, negotiation skill is key. Like I would like to add here my personal experience when I was trying to conduct research using the university employees, the academicians, in the academia. What happened? I wrote, because I wanted to first of all conduct my pilot study. I wrote to the university, maybe tomorrow they will reply me. I went to another university, it was turned down. It was the third or fourth university that I went to. So we must be prepared. There are a lot of challenges in the research work. It's not a cookbook approach, hook, line, and sinker methodology. No, it's not. You must be involved, and you must be involved. So the issue of, like I can even ask, can a research objective be too specific or too broad? Yes, it may be too broad. For example, to study employee motivation. Is that a research objective? Yes, but it's too broad. What type of motivation are you talking about? Employee motivation is so wide, even it's overflowed, but we are still researching, looking at intrinsic, extrinsic contingencies, okay? Those are issues, looking at the SBEX two-factor theories, the hygiene factors, the dissatisfier. You must be able to distinguish. You are looking at Maslow hierarchy of needs. You are looking at the contemporary motivational theories. The old, you can pick one from the old, and you can pick the new ones talking about the leadership style, community, and other things that we attend to. So let's look at, if it is not too broad and it is specific, to analyze. You see now, to analyze how performance-based rewards, that's what performance-based rewards is contingency reward or contingent reward, okay? Affect motivation among administrative staff of where you must mention it. So that is how to do. So there is no one way to it, but the researcher must have the understanding and relate with people in your field. So anyone doing research should not be quiet. You ask questions. They will see you as being pushy. Let them see you as that. If you keep quiet, 1 year has gone, 2 years, you have not done anything, it will be very frustrating. Okay, so objectives, just the tips that we have heard from here. My advice for all of us here is we keep it simple and sweet. We adopt the KISS principle. Keep whatever you are doing. Don't let it be too broad. Don't let it be too narrow. Let it be for you. You understand very well, and your readers should be able to understand too, because you are not writing for yourself. You are writing for the society, community, the policy makers, the other stakeholders involved in that your work. So you must ensure you are documenting results for today, for tomorrow, and for the future. So keep it simple and sweet, and that will be my advice. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've added people. I've sent the link now. People can join Africana Journal Club. So fill in the form, then you will be added by end of today. So look out for that. And yeah, let's see. We have a few more questions. So I think what I would say is read a bit more. What has been given today by Dr. Kemi and all the discussions is just an invitation for you now to go in the next week. Don't take too long also, because we get busy and we forget. Take some time and go read more about research objectives. Look at how do you, if you want to do a quant study, how do you frame if you want maybe to do a correlation between two variables, how are you going to write that, so that it is also aligned to your research design. I think what I've found, most people are very familiar with quant and qual and less familiar with research designs. Remember, your objectives has to be aligned with your design. So if you're unclear on that, go and read and find out. If this is my research objective, what kind of research design in my methodology do I need to use in order to answer this question? Because if you're not clear on the design, and the designs are many, even within quantitative type of approaches, there are many types of research design. There are correlation, there are case studies, there are cohort studies. So read about those so that you're very sure that the question you're asking in your objective, the objective is really going to be answered with a particular design, because each design has to be aligned with an objective. So please read a bit more. I also use YouTube a lot to read to get a sensitization of something before I use a textbook. So you can go on YouTube. There is one of the pages that we really love here. It's called Grad Coach. Let me just share the link. It's called Grad Coach. You can go there and start looking, but even others are there. You can just put in, how do I write a good objective, how that is aligned to, maybe you want to use a correlation study that is aligned to a correlation study. How do I make sure there is that alignment? So do a lot of YouTube, then go to read a textbook. I always encourage people, from my own experience, maybe there's something out there different, read research textbooks more than journals, because journals are too specific. But if you take a research textbook, that's what I think for us who are in school, if you don't have the number of your librarian, you're going to struggle, because what happens, most of the universities, let me just go back a bit, in Africa, it's very difficult to access certain journals, certain materials, certain books that we want, because they're expensive and to access. So what happens, universities are able to pay for some of these access points. So they at the university library level, they're able to access a lot of materials, more than you can do as an individual. That's why it's very important to work closely with your librarian. And these days, most universities have the online library, so you don't have to go physically to the university, and ask them, how can I be accessing the online materials? Because then it will be a bit more. And there you can find even books, you can find online books on research. Then you just go to the page on objectives, research designs, all that, and start reading. Then I think that will also give you more clarity, because what we are giving here is an overview. For your specific research, you have now to read a bit more so that you align it to what exactly you're doing. And just to finish on the Tijan question, I think for an objective, you have to make sure, like we've said, there is an action verb. You're showing the variables that you're going to compare, whether there is an independent variable and the dependent variable. I think it's good to have clarity on your objective, that you're showing those clearly. Remember, your objective has to lead you to what data analysis, what data you're going to, how you will analyze that data. Are you going to do a t-test? Are you going to do whatever test you're going to do? So it's very good to have very clear, you're very clearly knowing, what am I testing against what? And I think Kemi really emphasized that. So that has to be very clear in your objective. I think she also mentioned, we have to mention what population, and very specifically, if like for me, I'm going to work with aging population, I have to also specify what age group of aging I'm considering. So for me, I'm looking at maybe 60 to 80. But then even that age group, I have to justify why not up to 100. Okay, so be very specific also with the population and also the scope. I'm going to be within an urban poor locale. So I'm not looking at any other, I'm not going to rural areas. I'm only going to look at an urban poor locale, and it's called, say, Mukuru. So you see, my objective, if it has what I'm going to do, maybe I'm going to examine or explore how aging population, what strategies they use to navigate the healthcare system. So someone has to see the verb, someone has to see the relationships that I'm comparing, the population, the very specific population, the context. If it is a school, mention the school, maybe it's a private boarding school in. So I think that clarity will help will even help you as you're coming to do your analysis. So maybe I thought I would emphasize on that. Is there any other question? There were many questions, Kemi. This was a very good session. Is there? Okay, I think we are done. Is there any question we might have missed? I lost some of them. Someone is saying even at masters, we need to boycott some friends and activities. Yes, Kemi has preached. She was on fire. I think the research journey is so complicated. I did my first master's when I had a scholarship and I was only a student. And it took me less than 2 years to finish, like done properly, graduated and everything. The date we were to graduate is the day I graduated. Now come to this second master's where I am a student, I am working, I am so many things. It is so complicated. And if you don't, and it's now, I don't to say how many years, but now it's a bit more difficult. And if we don't prioritize it, of course, there are lecturer factors, but there are also student factors. At least take care of the student factors that are hindering you from moving. Then at least the lecturer factors, they may be out of your control, but at least make sure that on your part, you're really prioritizing it. And I have to confess, sometimes I would not prioritize my research because maybe you have an assignment with a deadline, and and with the economy the way it is. So just to also emphasize that one of the drivers of early completion is also the prioritizing of our research. And as Kemi said, you have now to let everyone know that you're now working on a project, not too many invitations anymore. And I think we'll be able to finish. So don't lose hope if you've been on this journey for a long time. You stuck. Am I stuck with Is it a knowledge problem that I'm stuck with? Is it that I don't know research well, that I'm not able to even understand what I'm writing? Then develop your skills. Is it the application of skills? Then do a lot of things that help you get feedback. For instance, on this platform, we have what we call open research presentations, which we do once a month. Every month, we invite people. If you're working on your research, which all of us are, come and present your paper. Even if you're not going for a defense, come and present to all of us, then through a PowerPoint, and then we shall give you feedback. It is through feedback that we also learn, because you can be accumulating a lot, but in how you're applying the knowledge, there are things you're not aware of, and other people can pick it. So don't also refrain your feedback, retain. Your supervisor is the only one who can give you feedback. I think my mentor told me earlier on, always talk about your paper, even in your family. Tell them, this is what I'm researching. Is it making sense? Do you understand what I'm doing? The more you talk about the work you're doing, the more you also get the connection. Someone may be like, oh, I know someone who works in that company. I'll connect you. I'll give you access. But if you keep it the world's best kept secret, that's how you will also struggle. So what we have seen in these open presentations, we usually have 4 people presenting. We have seen the lady researchers this year have not given up. They have not presented anything. Hello, ladies, where are you? And we were wondering, how come you're only seeing male members presenting? Last year, we had quite a number of female researchers. So we really invite you to take advantage of the opportunity to present your research. And we always announce, we give you time to prepare your presentation, then present and get feedback. And people who've presented here before, gone for their defense, have passed their defense. People who've been stuck in their paper, they don't know what to do. People come and tell them, I think here you're not clear, do this on your objectives, do this. That specific feedback will help you move. So I just want to invite you to participate in that activity. The other activity that we have is the Shut Up and Write. Shut Up and Write is an activity we do every Saturday between 9 and 11 East African time. Why did we create this time? Because we found that most people are not giving themselves time to write. There is no way you will write this paper when you want. It has to be intentionally planned time. One of my mentors always said, write your paper every day, because what happens, and I'm sure you've also seen, the minute you leave your paper, even for 3 days, when you come back, it almost feels like a new paper. You've disconnected your thinking, the motivation is gone. So for us, what we are doing as a club is to create that time on Saturday, not to mean that you should not be writing your paper the whole week. So what we are now doing, before we used to tell people, write at home, then report what you've done between those 2 hours. But nowadays we are opening, now opening a link where people join. You work quietly, you're not talking, you're writing. Maybe there are articles you've not read, you just download. You don't read, take that time to read. Maybe there's something you've not analyzed your data. We tell them, use those 2 hours to work quietly. And then 15 minutes towards the end of the time, we take feedback. What have you done today? People say, oh, I was able to complete this. I was not able to do this, but I think I have moved. So as a club, we have created the Shut Up and Write opportunity, 9 to 11, where people can really concentrate and write on their work. So you can also do that as friends who are maybe working on your researches. You can say, guys, every hour, maybe every day, from 7 to 8, let us be waking each other up and work quietly on our paper. That's another strategy that will help you move. Otherwise, it's very hard to complete this research project without intentionality to work on it, because it quickly becomes not a priority in the realm of so many things happening around us. I've talked a lot. Yeah. So thank you very much. So I hope to see many of you presenting. I don't know, do we have it next week? Kagendo, when are we having the open presentation next? Let me see the calendar. We usually release our monthly calendar. We
It's
will,
at the
when
end
you
of
join
the
the
month.
which month?
At the
This
end of
month?
the month. No, in May. We didn't have one in April because of Easter. So now it's in
Yes.
May 31st.
Yes, so May 31st, please come and present your research. We are always here. If you're researching, like we had once, one PhD candidate was doing his research on applied maths. We try, because we don't know most of us don't know the topic. We even try and get you a lecturer to come and listen, who is a subject matter expert. Even we told him, if you know a lecturer who's in applied maths, call him, let him also come. And he came. And he listened, he got a lot of feedback, and I think he's passed Charles he maybe passed eventually. So those are the strategies we are trying to use so that people can actually move in their paper, do ethical work, because here we do not promote people writing research for each other or just copying research. We really want good researchers in Africa, because you can see the problems we have in our continent. We cannot expect outsiders to come and solve them. And if we are not competent, what happens? Other people come and tell our stories on our behalf. So let me stop talking, because I can also talk the whole day and just say, oh, there is the calendar for May. So you can see Shut Up and Write is every day. Right now, we also have NVivo. We usually train people who want to learn qualitative data analysis. On 1st of May, we are having a crash course the whole day. You can come and learn on NVivo. That's a paid course, and you can ask us more details. It's a paid course. I think it's 8,000. 8,000 is like $7 or $70, $80. I'm not sure, but it's 8,000 Kenya shillings. And the teacher takes you through the session. Then they give you some homework, and then you can always contact them. Then we also have research mentorship with Leah. Leah is a PhD candidate in a UK university. Oh my gosh, my brain fog. And she offered herself twice a month to be sitting with 2 students online and listen to any issue they have, and she supports them. So imagine someone like that. She's a candidate herself, voluntarily. Saturday, 12 to 1 p.m., we book 2 people, and she's able to listen in. You know, sometimes people underestimate what 30 minutes can do. So for 30 minutes, she sees one person, she sees the next, and people have said they've unlocked something that was making them not move. I also do the same, also one Saturday a month, where I sit with 2 people separately. Then next month, want to look at literature review strategy. I like what without digging into literature. So I think most people get overwhelmed with literature review, not because you don't know, but who taught us. You know, scholarly writing is very different from any other type of writing, because you're building your work on the work of others. And so we want to have this session on literature review. And I think the other section, we also want to focus on sampling. Many people are really struggling with sampling and really understanding even the logic behind it, different types of sampling. So in June, we will do that, but in May, we will do literature review. And then on 31st, we will have open research presentation. All these things are free, apart from the NVivo, which you pay for because we hire an external lecturer, and it takes quite a bit to get that resource. The rest are free. So why not participate? They are free for you. Of course, they are paid by the organization, but so take use of them to do whatever will help you with your research. And of course, in the group, finally, in the group, we also encourage you to keep asking questions. I like the other day where everyone, people brought their question. That has been the tradition. You bring your question, say, I'm struggling with this, guys, help me. And people just give you ideas, do this, how to do your Kobo data collection too. People just That's the Ubuntu spirit that we Africans, our culture has always had. And that's what we want our space to be, the Ubuntu space where I don't have to think that I need to be paid for everything I say. We are paying it forward. So if someone is struggling, don't be quiet, share. The best way you can also be a good researcher is by teaching, is by telling them, oh, I don't know very well about using Kobo, but I think you can check this resource. So we also encourage people, please share resources. Don't, if you found something really good that has helped you, say, you guys, listen to this YouTube. It really helped me. So that we are growing together in companionship. And also the group has been there for 6 years. Most people never leave. They finish their masters, they come again, do their PhD, they never leave, because it's really that community that for us, it's so important to maintain in this our journey of scholarship. So with that, now I'll keep quiet. I just want to ask Kemi, do you have any last words? And then we can finish. Any final takeaway? And
Yeah, takeaway
we can.
For us all is to glean through what we have discussed this morning, sit down, listen to it, go back, read, research textbooks, read and read wide. Make use of the tips that you have, because it's a continuous learning. We learn and we continue to learn and unlearn and relearn. That is the essence of being a researcher, an academic, a mimician, and a consultant to come. I don't know where you are right now, but that is it. If you are an HR practitioner, you are the internal consultant of that organization. So brace up yourself, come to the platform, ask your questions, and be ready to work. Thank you. I'm done. Hello?
I like your fire, Kemi. I think we should, as always, give our flowers to Kemi. It's been an amazing session. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kemi. I was saying thank you so much. We are giving you our flowers. I see also how you support people in the club with a lot of resources. Thank you for being here today. I have really enjoyed this session. I've also learned for my own objectives. I'm also going back, and let me know if those are the final slides you have.
Ọlọ́run náà ti lánàá, ẹ̀sìn mo láti èmi náà ti gbogbo wa. Musa, thanks a lot. Thank you.
Hello, goodbye, everyone. I think I was disconnected. Thank you for coming. Thank you again, Kemi. That was great. You have ignited our fire.
We thank God. Thank you so much. God bless all of us.
God bless.